Today's project will require the use of your colored pencils, a regular pencil, and a piece of white paper. Hi class, it's Mrs. Latinsky. Today we are traveling to the country of China to learn about their artwork on vases they did 300 to 600 years ago in the Ming Dynasty. These vases were spectacular and they included all kinds of images, some of which were dragons. Also, there's images of popular flowers and wildlife. One of the most popular flowers in China is called the cherry blossom. And you can see them here in Washington State as well. They're all over the world and they're very beautiful. They're on trees. In fact, have you ever noticed the paintings that are often behind me when I'm doing these recordings? Well, they feature cherry blossoms. These are two paintings that I actually did a long time ago. We're also going to be talking about the element of art space and the principle of design balance. This image is of a traditional Chinese dragon, which is a symbol of good fortune in their culture. I want you to pay attention to how the artist who created this face used the space in this face. There's something called positive and negative space. Positive space is the image that is in the forefront that takes the attention. And in this case, well, obviously it's Mr. Dragon right here. He is in the positive space. The negative space is more this white area where there's nothing going on. We can think of it like the background or the unfilled area. It peeks through some of these parts of the dragon between each of these spikes on its back. If you look carefully here between the back of the dragon and this curled, I want to say it's sort of like a vine. It almost looks like mountains or an island coastline, perhaps, that you can see in this white negative space. So when you create your own image on a vase shape, be thinking about not only what you choose to put in your positive space, which is perhaps an image of dragon or flowers, but also think about how you use that white space, that negative space of the porcelain that is also able to create shape and meaning. What do you notice about these vases? What is different about all of them? If you said shape, you're correct. All these vases have a different shape. This one here looks like it even has little handles at the top. This one here is very narrow at the top and wider at the bottom. This is a Ming Dynasty styled vase my daughter Grace did. She chose to do a dragon. She chose to do branches that were very similar in length to the length of the vase, the height of the vase itself. You notice that? And that creates a sense of balance in the space. There's a balance here between what's sticking out the top of the vase and what's happening in the bottom of the vase. Lizzie also created a vase. Her vase is pretty much filling the space up with different flowers. There's negative space, white space still present, and it's about equal with the positive space. The first thing you need to do is divide your paper, make sure it's in portrait orientation, right in half, because we're going to balance the space in this scene evenly between the vase on the bottom and what we put in the vase on the top. I'm going to give it a little bit of a dimensionality. I'm going to have this little oval that's indicating the top of that vase. Really make mine a rounded vase with this little top part. You can decide whatever you want to put on your vase. Remember, the Chinese Ming Dynasty period featured a lot of natural things. You could find things like grapes and waves from the ocean. You could find vines and fruit and flowers and bamboo and fish and birds. And you could also find mythical things like dragons. The head for the dragon is roughly like a lion, something like that. It has a fierce mouth, big jaw. You can find images online of these creatures as well. They have a very snake-like body. I'm going to make this snake-like body curve up the sides of this vase. So there's my S shape for my dragon. Now, the top of the dragon's curve goes here as well. And we go like this. Follow its curve of its body. As it twists and turns, you can see the top of this dragon. And then it's going to go into its kind of big tail right there. Now for the dragon's legs. They're going to go here. The dragon legs remind me a bit of some form of lizard. Their leg looks pretty muscular. It's got these claws. This dragon is going to have his tongue almost like a snake's tongue coming out. And there's its mouth, and it's going to have these big eyes right there. These horn things coming off of it. So I'm also going to section off these two areas, help balance out this big shape here with some pretty big designs down below. I'm gonna I don't know if this is a traditional design for a Chinese vase. Probably not, but I need something big and bold and patterned, and that's the one I'm going to choose. Here, I might do something similar. Creates a sense of balance to have both sides have a very similar pattern. My blue pencil, I don't know if it's cobalt blue, but it's the closest I could get to that color and they use in their vase. It almost looks like he has a mane, like a lion. That's sort of like flames too. Look at this thing where he's turning. See here how I show the line of his back here because he's going at an angle. Kind of hard to see that, but because that's the ridge on the top of his back. You have to also think about which leg is in front of his body. Now the tails often, I don't know if this is flame, what it is, but they were kind of jagged like that. We'll call it flame. So we're just going to create these spikes all the way along the back of him. And as we curve around that corner, they're just going to go on this side. You got to pay attention to what's the top of his tail. And so I can show scales by just kind of creating these little, I don't know, diamond shapes all over. I didn't do the top part on purpose until I finished the vase because we're focusing on balance. We want to balance whatever we have in the bottom with what we do in the top. Until we finish this part, we don't really know what's going to balance that out well. Now we can choose to make the height approximately the same height as the vase itself. We could choose to do a lot of sticks, or we could choose to just do a few. And honestly, I don't know until I just start doing it. I don't think that's enough. So I'm going to do a few of them until I feel like I've filled up the space and created a good balance. That's pretty even there. So one problem I encountered is in my pack of 12 Crayola colored pencils, which I love. They're great pencils. There is no pink. And cherry blossoms are most decidedly pink. What do we do? Well, if we had watercolors or acrylic paints, I would say just mix the paints together. But what we have is pencils, and pencils are a little bit more complicated for color mixing. But have no fear, I will teach you a technique that will get you pink. The first thing you want to do is start with red. Figure out how large you want your flowers to be. The cherry blossom flowers have 5 petals, 1, and they're arranged in kind of a circle like this. So what I do is I make each of these petals a circle. Do you see that? How I just circled a petal, okay? And I don't color too hard. In fact, you can see some little white sparks because you're going to go over it very carefully, fill in every little bit, and you have to go over it several times in a circle with the white. And once you've covered all that red and go in a circle, follow exactly what you did before, you may have to go over it a couple times, you end up with a pink. The harder you pushed with the red, the darker the pink. This one turned out to be pretty dark. Make the center a little darker, just like that. And there's a cherry blossom. And the cherry blossoms can be in front of or next to all these sticks. They're just coming off the sticks, basically. Now you can fill in your sticks. One thing you might want to do is, for some of them that are off on the side, you can create little sticks that go off to connect. That's nice. And there you have it. Thanks for joining me for Art Today, learning about art from another culture. I hope you enjoyed it and learned some new things.